Hello. There we are. There's a big old glare on my glasses. All right. These are better. It's still pretty glary. Taking them off. No glasses. We're winging it. Oh, but I'm reading cards. Isn't it fun, all the things that show up as we get a little older? I'm so excited to be here. It's Monday. And I wanted to pop in and say hi. I'm Melissa Russell. I am with Beloved Bust, helping you reclaim your body after breast cancer. There's a big old glare. I could read up on glares. That didn't help. Guess what we're talking about today? I had an amazing call with a client on Friday, and it was just so inspiring and wonderful to connect. If you are wondering if you should reach out and connect, do it. There's a free call. I'll put the link in the comments and connect. I'd love to hear what's going on with you and what some of your biggest struggles are, and even hear about your wins. So reach out. I'll throw that link in there in the comments. So I'm still wondering about that glare. Yeah, more glare. If I come back here. Clarity, glare. So I'm going to look at my notes here. Right? Easing your way back into peace with your body after breast cancer. So you might want to hurry and get back to all the things, but the key is these little baby steps and building up a bank of wins. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And so one of the exercises or the ways that you can do this is to really call out the one thing that you want or that you're trying to do or you want more in your life. And then we break it down into these little smaller chunks and in the little ways, right? So then you just kind of build a ladder in a sense to get back to doing what you love to do. So one of the examples I had as I was talking to a client, we were talking about intimacy and the things that come up for her and her partner. And so when we break it down, she wants to create space or have that more intimacy, that piece of her relationship that she was missing. And so then we look at intimacy and what's kind of in the way, right? And there's all kinds of things. And obviously nothing that sometimes there's stuff you can or can't do or whatever, but we're just looking at it. So what is in the way of the one thing? What comes up? And so one of the things she talked about is just not being comfortable in her body, right? And so it's really hard to let go and really be in this place of pleasure and connection when you're self-conscious and worried about your body. And so we can work on that, right? So we can break it down into little steps. So we could break that down into feeling more comfortable with your body. One of the great tools that we have in this group is the scar release, which of course releases scar, can soften the discoloration and things like that, relieving pain, all of those important things. Hey, and then, but really when we're doing scar release, we're connecting to your body. You're holding those places and allowing your nervous system and your brain to map that area out, to reconnect after maybe we've disassociated from having all of the procedures and just that core trauma there. So doing your scar release, right? We're scared of intimacy. Well, really, I'm just not comfortable in my body. So one of the tools you have is scar release, is working, touching your body. Last week, we talked a little bit about even just looking at yourself in the mirror, touching, holding, right? Another way to get comfortable with yourself, one of the ways that my client talked about feeling not great in her body is because she's gained weight, right? You're in pain, you're not working out, you're on different prescriptions and things like that. All of those things are going to affect that, and stress and everything else, and the way our body is processing food and life, right? And so we can start easy. We can be like, oh, I don't have anything to wear, or I don't feel good in my body. I'm going to work out. But then there's the other piece, right? Well, I can't work out because you might be in pain or have range of motion issues. We'll get to that one. So look in the closet and find something that you feel good in now, in your sweet body right now. And maybe you have a favorite pair of pants and they just don't fit right now. So can you find the same pair of pants, one size or bigger, so that they fit, right? Get your sass back. I got my power earrings on today, right? Put on some lipstick or something that helps you feel a little more sparkly, right? Your favorite t-shirt, whatever that shows up, it might be a momentum or a picture that you like to look at that's around that you really connect with, and it helps you connect to that part of you that you really love and recognize, right? And so we don't feel comfortable in our body, right? We get our hands on our body, that first one, scar release. But the other piece is don't wait for the body that you want or for the next step. You can find that right now, right? So dig in your closet, look around, find some power earrings, put some lipstick on, maybe get a new pair of glasses if that time is there. Finding those little pieces that help you connect with that, right? Take a girlfriend with you or show your friend if you want some feedback, right? So you can, even when we're just, hanging out at home, you can find a little Shazam in your day. And we're just building a small bank of wins, right? And so often our brains are like, oh, I used to run marathons, right? And so nothing in between now and the marathon, your brain is going to calculate as that's not really that great, or I'm not able to do these things that I want to do, right? And so we can't run a marathon if we've been recovering and been laying around and healing. So we start really small, right? So we would start with the walk, right? Or getting more active very slowly. And so we just catch ourselves, notice what your brain is doing with the immediate, like right now. Yeah. And so intimacy, that would be one of the main topics. That would be the one thing, but then you're going to break that down. What's getting in the way of feeling comfortable with myself or with my partner? Or we haven't had those big discussions about how you feel with your recovery and where you're at, or vice versa, right? Or asking for what we want, what feels good for us. Things shift and change. And so it can be an evolving conversation, which as those conversations show up, the intimacy, the connection deepens, and we can feel that much more comfortable with our person, with ourselves as well. Yeah? So we're taking the one thing and breaking it down into little bite-sized chunks, okay? The other piece would say losing weight. But if you're in pain, it's hard to exercise, or say you start trying to exercise and you might get injured, or it makes your pain or tightness increase, right? So then we can't work out at all. So let's start really small, right? We start with the walks, getting off the couch, moving a little. If that's a lot, then just get on the floor and you can do your myofascial stretching. Very gentle, easy movement. Sometimes I put on a little music and just dance a little. It doesn't have to be, we're not raving, right? You can just put on some music and move your body, even while you're in the kitchen. Maybe if you're cooking a little bit, put some music on and you add a little extra oomph in your day. We're working our way towards, maybe if someone has the goal of exercising or getting back to the gym. Another piece I find that some of my clients haven't done, which I think can be really helpful, is you've been recovering, you've been laying around a lot and healing, and so it's hard to just get back into doing things. And so I think not only is physical therapy really helpful for range of motion and getting your body back after those surgeries and breast cancer treatments, but you could go to physical therapy as you get back into moving more, right? You're feeling energetic, you're healing, you've got all the okays from your healthcare team. And so you could get a script for physical therapy. And then when you're with that therapist, you're just going to, you want a script so that you can kind of build that baseline. I haven't really been moving for over a year. And so I want to get back to moving, and I want to do it safely so that I don't injure myself. So you get a PT script and tell the PT, or the doctor gives you a script, but the conversation with the PT is, I want to get moving again, and I want to do it in safe manner so that I don't get injured, and so I have something I can build from. And they can give you very basic core strengthening exercises, and find maybe where one side is more strong or tighter than the other, right? And so they can work on that, and so you can do your pelvic tilts and bridges and things like that, but that build a little bit of that core strength. So when you do start exercising, walking, you've got that nice baseline. And so you're less likely to get injured. If you have a history of working out a lot or having a certain kind of exercise, maybe you start with something different. I know when I was going through menopause, I used to work out all the time, and then my body just wasn't recovering like it used to. And so I discovered barre. And so I started doing more, less intense, and it was really fun. And I found a new way to feel my body and work out and take care of myself. And so be open to those, and it might be on the way, then you can get back to spinning or whatever it was that you like to do. And again, if you're on the couch and you're in recovery mode versus I want to go to the gym and work out, that's a big gap. So what are the spaces in between that you can start to move towards? And again, our brains, when we're not doing the one thing we want to do, our brain is going to sometimes turn that against us and tell us how we're not great and we can't do anything, and I'm never going to lose the weight, or whatever those pieces are, right? So you grab the one thing and then stretch it out and see what are the little steps along the way. The main goal can be even a feeling. I want to feel good. I want to move around, right? So that would be one of those core things. What's along that way, that path to get to what you want, right? We talked about intimacy, which with my client, when we really talked about it in our coaching session, the underlying piece was she just still hadn't got to that part where she felt comfortable in her body. So common. And we don't have to skip over that, right? That'll be there. You can meet with those parts of yourself, right? We have lots of tools in this group for you to work and share and connect. So we talked about, say, if it was exercise that you wanted, increasing just movement around the house and walking, right? And then, of course, even the idea of maybe going to a physical therapist and getting just some core strengthening baseline so that you can rebuild that core strength before you get out and exercise, and you're less likely to get injured. And that PT can maybe find areas that aren't engaging, that aren't strong, or that aren't working. But you want someone really good, right? Because you're recovering. And so you want someone with experience that's not just throwing strengthening at you, right? So get a referral from your doctor, ask around, ask friends and women in other support groups who they've had success with, other practitioners in your area, and get some feedback, and even ask questions with the receptionist when you talk to the receptionist on the phone as far as booking with a specific physical therapist. You can ask and be very, I would ask lots of questions. Get the one you love, right? All right. Looking at my notes, we talked about intimacy exercise. I'd love to hear in the comments, what are some of the things that what is maybe the one thing that your heart is wanting to do, or you're looking for, or you can't wait till you can do that again, or you feel like there's obstacles in the way of you reaching, feeling, being in that zone that you recognize as yourself. So the other piece is recovery. So we often have these goals. I want to go back to this, or I want to feel this way. I want to get back to exercise and intimacy. I want to be able to work. I want to be able to cook like I used to cook, right? Don't skip the recovery. That is a huge piece, and that will slow you down if we're not creating the space and time to recover. And another word I like to use in recovery is process. It's a huge experience, all of those pieces. And often when you're in it and you're in your breast cancer treatments and surgeries, we're just kind of getting through it. So there's a little bit of disassociation. We're in a little bit of fight or flight and freeze response as the body goes through feeling in danger, right? And so the nervous system is high alert. And so we get to process. And that might look like sitting in front of the fire and not doing anything but watching the flames. You're just allowing your mind and your body to process the experience. And so that just looks like rest. It might look like watching Netflix, reading, knitting, just some very chill kind of activities that are just letting you maybe chunks of time where you don't have anything set and you can do on, say, Saturday afternoons, you have some space where you've created in your schedule where there's no obligations. You get to do whatever you want. If I feel like knitting, I can knit. If I feel like doing nothing, I can nap. I can watch TV, or I can make quiche. Whatever you want to do, creating those little chunks of time that are for you to do whatever you're feeling in the moment. And that might mean rest, and that might mean an extra walk, wherever it is. In that extra time of you allowing yourself to go with how you feel in the moment. That's an example of you listening to your body. And that's so huge as we recover from pain and tightness, is allowing the body to process and checking in with yourself, right? You're doing a little inventory. Do I feel like changing the sheets on the bed? Hardly ever. I don't. It seems like such a big to-do, and the fitted sheet drives me crazy. So I know that takes a lot of spoons, and so I give myself that time to say yes or no, yay or nay. I'm going to do that another day, and then I can put that on another day where I'm feeling lots of spoons, I'm feeling full of energy, and then I'm going to tackle that fitted sheet, right? So giving yourself that little ebb and flow, allow it, I call it this like to and fro, just really listening, feeling, and doing an inventory of your body. The one thing that you're reaching for, or that you would like to have back in your life, whether it's exercise or intimacy or just that sense of self, we take the one thing and you break it down into those smaller pieces. I'd love to hear some examples of what maybe that one thing is for you. And there, of course, might be more than one. But we can brainstorm together and break that down and find those baby steps along the way. If you comment down below, we can be looking for those. So we talked about that, but again, the key thing is don't skip the rest and the processing piece. That's a huge piece to your recovery. And it happens in waves, right? You might have a really great day, you're full of energy and you're buzzing about, and then another day you're like, got nothing. And so you go with that. This day I got nothing. So guess what? I'm getting takeout, right? I'm not doing anything. You want to start cooking again? Well, maybe negotiate and have someone clean, right? So you can get back in the kitchen or doing the things that you love to do, right? You want to make lasagna, and I don't know if I'm going to have enough energy left afterwards to do all the cleanup and that. So you can negotiate with someone, right? Get some support, ask for help in those areas. Maybe don't do that on the day that you worked all day and then come home and think you're going to change the sheets on the bed, right? Stretch it out. We got the one thing and we're going to stretch it out and make little steps along the way. You're creating a bank of wins, and so you start to learn that you can trust your body, and your nervous system learns that it can trust you, right? You're the captain of the ship, and if you keep pushing, right, the body is going to have a little feedback for you. So you do the inventory, you notice, and you collect those wins, those smaller wins that are taking you to the one thing. Break it down, right? And look at that. What's in the way of the one thing? Looking at my notes here, right? I got get support. That's all over the place. Another example would be I really like to garden. And then right? If you have a garden, though, that's a huge thing. Like, oh, I want to plant all my things. So, if you're not feeling up for it or you're just getting back into movement, you can have someone maybe put a bunch of potting soil in a bigger pot, and then you can just plant smaller things. So you're not on the ground or digging in the ground. You have a nice pot of fresh soil that you can plant your lavender in or whatever it is that you love, your tomatoes. And so it doesn't have to be this whole thing, but you can break it down into smaller chunks and ease into those things that make you happy and fill your heart. And so the one thing, stretch it out, break it down. And so, for example, the garden, we're not going to till the whole thing or do all the things. You might have more pots that year and have someone fill the pots with the soil, and then you just dig and plant your beautiful herbs and flowers and vegetables or whatever it is that you're into, right? Break it down. All right, the other piece, a little bit about that inventory, is just a little side note, is a tiny little bit about boundaries, which would be like, saying no or getting off the phone when you're done, even if it's your favorite person, and just be like, whoo, I'm out of spoons, I had a day, I'm going to have to catch up with you later, right? And so we're bringing it all back down. If we're feeling stretched out and we have too much to do, you just go in these tiny little steps. Like, I'm going to take this time tonight with myself. I'm going to not be on the phone, not going to finish that work project. I'm just doing my thing. I'm going to be with myself. And that flex time, right? You get to make it up as you go. So get those easy wins. You're building a bank of trust with your body and your nervous system, right? All systems are go. And when you feel that your body needs rest, you take the rest. And really, what if you had flex time? You had spaces in your schedule that were there before you needed the rest, before your body shut down and was like, I can't do this, and the pain flare up, those kinds of things. You can integrate that in your week, and so it's already there just for you. That is some self-care. I really appreciate you joining me today. You let me know if you have any questions. I would love to hear about the one thing or two or five, whatever you got. And then let's break it down and notice the little steps. And we build a ladder to the places that you're wanting to go. And that, of course, starts with just being right there, right here, where you are right now. It's wonderful to be with you all. Happy Monday. I hope you have a marvelous week. I'll be sending out a newsletter and we'll be connecting, and you can respond to that newsletter. It goes right to me. Or I'm going to be putting a link in today's Facebook Live that will be for a free call. So you can connect with me. I talked to a couple women on Friday. It was just wonderful. There's no pressure or salesy. If you're interested in working with me, we can talk about that. But also, I would just love to hear about where you're at. I learned so much from talking with you and connecting with you, and where the struggles are and where I can be of service and show up and what we really need to talk about. I love to hear from you. Have a marvelous day, and I will, I'll be around. Reach out. Bye.